risk involved in human activity. For example, why can't people play tennis? Why can't you regulate the amount of people who will be visiting or who could visit city pools when it's 98 degrees in the summer, or regulate the traffic going into city beaches and give people maybe a ticket or a rain check for another date if they can't go to the pool that day, and regulate the time period and the amount of use at that pool. Because we're facing what happened last night is almost like a release of a valve. There's going to be a level of frustration in this city that will be very difficult, I think. Maybe I'm wrong, but it'll be very difficult to manage the expectations and the needs of this population. I mean, am I wrong? What is your response to my question?
Well, Henry, I think you said a couple of different things. I think the issues you raised obviously are being felt all over New York City. But again, I want to say a large gathering, this is a different issue. When you talk about pools or beaches or tennis, you're talking about what individuals do. What we saw last night was absolutely unacceptable and would be unacceptable in any and all communities. It was a large gathering, again, tragically, thousands of people. The amount of danger created by that kind of gathering is inestimable. The fact that people will die because of it, which goes against everyone's values. I want to separate that kind of thing from the question you're asking, which I think is a fair and important question about what can we do for everyday people, individual people from all parts of our community as we try to, over time, work our way back to normal. So I'd say is the first rule is there will be no large gatherings of any kind anywhere. And anyone who equates a small number of people around, a blanket in a park with what we saw last night is entirely missing the point. We are talking about thousands of people in close proximity in one site. We will never, ever allow something like that to go unchecked anywhere. Now, if you say, okay, people are understandably yearning to get outside and the weather's going to get warm, we're working on this all the time, and we're going to have announcements on this soon, how we're going to address the warm weather. We've worked with the City Council on one piece of it, which is to try and open up more space in certain key areas with enforcement. But when you talk about pools, beaches, tennis courts, each thing's going to be looked at individually. There's the whole different piece of the equation, which we've talked about, which is what can we afford to open, and that's going to be all about what happens with the stimulus in Washington, whether we even have money to open some of these things, and that's a big question mark right now. But then beyond is the question of what will keep people safe, the most important question. What will protect people's health and safety? And places where a lot of people might congregate create a real danger. We have to know we can manage them properly, and there can be proper enforcement, and that the time is right. So the indicators will tell us when we can start opening up, and we're going to do it very carefully, methodically. And each thing you mentioned will be looked at in turn when the time is right.